JobKeeper might continue past September. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.heise here, and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. I had my morning stein of coffee, and I thought we'd have a look at this article regarding calls for JobKeeper to continue beyond September. Frankly, I think we're going to hear more and more of it. And this is from a far North Queensland Liberal MP, Warren Etz. And he's confident that the JobKeeper will continue beyond September. What do you think, everyone? September is the fiscal cliff that we're all waiting for, all warned about, all thinking it will affect property prices one way or another. Will they keep throwing everything they can at it, or will it just be certain industries? Federal and Queensland government schemes to help businesses through the pandemic crisis could soon be expanded, especially in regional areas. Far North Queensland Liberal MP Warren Etz today said he was confident the federal JobKeeper wage subsidy scheme would continue for the Cairns area beyond its original scheduled end date of September. I know we have a few viewers up in Cairns. What's it like up there at the moment? I can't imagine it's doing too well, particularly with the pretty much destruction of tourism. It's a no-brainer. There's a very strong argument, he said. Mr. Etz, who responded to figures released today that showed more than 3,600 businesses in Cairns, and this was a few days ago, were claiming JobKeeper the highest of any Queensland postcode. This shows how important it is to have this support within our community, he said. We were the first to fall off the cliff with the closing down of flights into China, and we're going to be the last one that comes in. Treasury is currently reviewing the JobKeeper and JobSeeker schemes, with the federal government indicating it would be providing more tailored packages to specific industries such as tourism after September. And it's absolutely critical. Rodney Rees is the director of the Cairns Adventure Group, which currently has 21 employees on JobKeeper. He describes the scheme as absolutely critical. Without a wage subsidy in place and until international borders open, we just won't be able to be economically viable, Mr. Rees said. Here's the question. What if rather than closing the borders, we just checked people? No one has a crystal ball. But for me personally, the JobKeeper subsidy needs to be in line with international travel routes. When travel routes reopened, that's when we need to start rolling it back. Now I need to have a shot of coffee of this. Well, that makes sense. He's making a good point there. Advance Cairns Chief Executive Officer Nick Trumpf said the regional city's dependence on JobKeeper was immense. It's not known precisely, but it's estimated about 25% of the workforce in the Cairns Regional Council footprint at the moment is receiving it, he said. He said he wanted the federal government to extend the scheme for another 6 months. We have to commend the government for what they've done so far with JobKeeper, but the job is not done in Cairns, he said. This is the problem. This is the problem when a city, a town, becomes too dependent on one sector. The Queensland government is also signalling an expansion of its COVID-19 business support program, the Small Business Adaptation Grant Scheme, which allows for grants of up to $10,000. Premier Anastasia Palaszczuk said it was something the Treasurer and I are actively considering. I've been travelling across regional Queensland. Regional Queensland has definitely told me that there is a key demand for more small business grants, she said. How about you just reduce the red tape for small business? How about you just cut the petrol excise, cut costs for licensing, cut costs for every bloody person? How about that? Never going to happen, is it? They want to hand out the money so you can claim that they steal the money off you. They steal the money off you by force or threat of jail. And then they pick and choose how they can distribute it to be the nice guys to build up their voter base. There definitely are some fundamental problems and issues just with democracy. But then again, that's always existed with all forms of government, hasn't it? That's why we need more and more people advocating for a reduction in their capacity to do this. The $100 million scheme announced last month is designed to assist those small businesses forced into hibernation, to restructure or to significantly change their business operations or move online. In Brisbane, the owner of the Little Red Provincial Cafe in Red Hill, Janelle Mogridge, said her business would have folded in recent months if it was not for the support of the locals. We had people that have just come in and bought a cup of tea and not actually had the cup of tea. It was just to keep the money going for us, she said. She said the federal government's JobKeeper scheme had been a lifeline, but that it was hard to know what additional support was available. When the Queensland government releases 10,000 grants worth $10,000 for small businesses last month, they were all allocated within 4 days. We saw it, applied, but they were already gone, so I really don't think there was enough information out there about them. I didn't even see anything about those grants. But then again, I tend to avoid any of these government grants because I find they're always just more hassle than they're worth. Just imagine the paperwork you have to do. And then you're in their pocket. So, there you go, guys. Potential continuation of the JobKeeper program past the September date. More calls for government grants, particularly in rural Queensland. Our Premier flying around everywhere. And not one mention in this article about the significant amount of government debt that Queensland already has. Not one mention. Not one mention at all. Why is that? Why is that never discussed? Why is that never mentioned? Future generations will have to pay for this one way or another. Are they going to sucker more migrants? Come to Australia, the lucky country, where you can be indebted and your children can be indebted. Where you can pay one of the highest levels of tax in the world. You'll get a super high minimum wage, but you won't be able to get a job because there's no work. Unemployment shooting up, guys. You won't get a job. Come study a master's and don't get any employment in your field. Drive Uber Eats, Go work at an aged care home with your master's degree. Everyone getting a property. So dependent on tourism. What do you think? Am I becoming too cynical with all of this? Is it just what I've been exposed to? It's frustrating. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. I can understand why they're calling for this in Cairns. They're completely dependent on tourism to many regards. Many regards. And, here's the question. Will these places change from being dependent on JobKeeper to being dependent on JobSeeker? What will that do to these communities? What will that do to these cities? People take a hit there. If JobSeeker gets, if all these people, these businesses start closing, if they don't continue with JobKeeper, or even if they do to a selected number of industries, will they have to suddenly, will unemployment spike in Cairns? Will more people need to adapt or change? We'll have to see. Because tourism, it's a big chunk of Australia, guys. It's a big portion of our economy. It's $60 billion of the GDP. Over 600,000 people employed. And here you have cities in far north Queensland which are, essentially dependent on these sectors, losing out now, completely dependent on government handouts. We've got people calling for more state government handouts, $10,000, free money, where there's not even a mention once of the tax burden or implications that this will bring. There's not even a discussion of looking at reducing government spending. And we've got a state that is in tremendous debt. Tremendous debt. We've got costs through the roof, cost of living everywhere. You've got building approvals, which are slightly ticking up. We'll see if they'll go, because a lot of people are dependent, even in these regions, on construction. So you've got construction, you've got tourism, you've got natural resources, the mining. That's all. A lot of the investment in that has happened now. They're in caretaker mode. We'll have to see, guys. We'll have to see. As always, thank you all for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you're a fan and want to support the content I create here, there are a few ways you can. You can join the channel on YouTube or Patreon. You can support us via our affiliate links at Amazon or eBay or Independent Reserve and Kucoin. You can buy our merch from HeiseSays, use gold paths from the Perth Mint, or support us via PayPal. Take care. I'll see you next time.